And we'll see. I'm sure we'll have a few more people jump in. All right, no one else. So the first thing we're going to start with is introductions. Just say hello, where you're from, how long you've been using Joomla for your business, and that's enough for now. We do have Richard, did you do the spotlight last time?
No, I was going to do it this time.
This time, okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't update that in my notes. That's what I thought. So Richard's the spotlighter today, and then today's topic, we had a little bit of trouble getting the ones that we wanted, so Olivia's standing in. I guess the SVG topic, we tried a couple different people, but Europe is on vacation, their vacation this month. Migration, we couldn't get that this month either. So Olivier is going to do something on SVGs, and he's also going to talk about the Joomla 4.3 transition that he's a new member of heading it, so new position. So that's going to be our speaker today, and then we'll have some free time afterwards. But quick introductions. Why don't we start with Richard? Want to say hello?
Hello. You want more? Sorry. Yeah. Hi, I'm Richard Gosler. I'm a web designer, former photographer turned web designer based in Bournemouth, which is on the south coast of England. But I shall tell you more about what I do in a little while.
All right, Joe, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Joe Sunny. I'm from Canada. I've been using Joomla since 2005, and I've been doing it full time since 2009.
Very nice. Karen, do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Karen. I'm in Athens, Georgia, and I've been using Joomla since 2012.
Oh, wow.
And I run Maven Design Studio. So, and the only thing we use is Joomla for our websites.
I like to hear that. That's me. Ellen, do you want to say hello?
Hi, I'm Ellen Rothwax. I'm in Connecticut. I do websites for small businesses and professionals. I've been using Joomla since about 2008. And before that, it was static websites.
Yeah, Dreamweaver, right?
Yeah.
Lisa, why don't you say hello?
Hi, I'm Lisa, coming from Virginia, close to Washington, D.C. And I've been using Joomla since 2007, I think, and build mostly nonprofit and small business websites.
Paul, why don't you say hello?
Okay. I'm Paul Surt. I own Three Cats Marketing. We do all kinds of fun stuff for marketing, including websites. And I try to use Joomla exclusively unless the client absolutely positively insists on using that other one. And I try to talk them out of it. But I've been using Joomla since Mambo 1.0, I think.
Oh, wow. Paul and Karen, have you attended any other Joomla meetings or events in the past, or is...
Yeah, myself, I've been a speaker at Joomla Days. I've been a speaker at the World Conference. I've attended Joomla Days, not just when I was a speaker. So yeah, I've been around. Oh, and I was on the resource directory team a bunch of years ago. I don't know, it wasn't too long ago, but it was years ago. So I've volunteered with the project. I've been at events. I've spoken at events.
Yeah, I've seen you before.
Yeah.
How did you find out about this meeting? Just curious.
Yeah, sorry, I should have said that earlier, Joe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's recruiting for us. Wonderful. I did put it up on, Laura made me put it up on the community page as an event this time. So I was wondering if that brought in some new people.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, no, I learned about it from Joe.
And how about you, Paul?
Yeah, that's actually how I found out about it, was from the community page.
Oh, good. Oh, nice.
You know what? Let's check this out. I have not really been to any of the other events. I was part of the Atlanta Joomla users group back when there was an Atlanta Joomla users group. And it sort of got defunct, and I tried to take it over, and it never really took off. So I've been looking for people to connect with for Joomla for a while now, and here y'all are.
Well, yeah, I have similar stories with the Boston area where, or the New England area where, and Ellen had the same, so they tried and failed. So that's when Laura suggested at the Joomla Day USA that this past year, well, we do virtual ones now, so why don't you just do a virtual one? I'm like, I like that. So this is what we have, and it's great because we do have a group coming from all over. Anne, why don't you say hello, tell us where you're from and what you're doing in Joomla.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I was late. I'm from Syracuse, New York. I've been working with Joomla since 2011. And I work with small and mid-sized businesses. And already I have learned a ton from this group. I think everyone is way past where I am. So I really appreciate all the discussion and help.
Oh, I can second that. I started using Latest News Enhanced after Olivier's presentation 2 months ago, and I don't know how I've lived without it these years. So, it's been a heaven sent. And I just feel like if I didn't dedicate this time to come to this group, I wouldn't sit through and learn about these things. So I love that it's built into my schedule and that I'm coming. Okay, Olivier.
Robin, what did you say you just learned? I didn't catch the words.
Latest News Enhanced, that it's Olivier's.
Latest News Enhanced. Okay.
Yeah, it's Olivier's extension, and he spoke about it 2 months ago. And it takes it to a whole new level. Like I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm using it like on my latest 4 or 5 builds now, and I keep messaging him on Ring Central and asking him questions, which is going to be annoyed after a while. He'll probably like, I wish you never paid for this.
No, that's what I'm here for.
All right, Olivier, why don't you say hello and introduce yourself?
I'm Olivier. I'm in New York right now, in a busy street, so you may hear some noise once in a while. I'm French speaking, so that hence my accent. I've been using Joomla since Joomla 1.5. I used it for my first websites, which I've done a lot of websites for free to my family, my friends, and all that stuff. So that's how I got started. I wanted to be able to create a website and have people work on it themselves on their content. So that's how I started using it, and found some shortcomings in the extensions I was using. So I started creating my own, and then it goes on, and I finally created my own software company with 4 third-party extensions. So that's how I started. And my latest, I've been part of Joomla Day, Joomla Camp, Joomla Day USA, Joomla Camp Chicago, Joomla Day Chicago, Joomla Camp New York. And I accepted the position of manager for the next release of Joomla. So with Shariel Williams from Chicago. So we're both working together on this new release.
Wow.
And he's going to talk to us a little bit about that today too. So we're excited.
So I cannot say too much yet, but I will give you some pointers.
Okay. So unless more people come in, I'll let them in. But let's go into the next part of our meeting, which Richard's going to give us a spotlight, a 10-minute presentation about himself, and he's going to talk about whatever he wants to. And for the rest of the members here, every month we let a member be a spotlight. So kind of think about it and maybe volunteer at the end to do it next month. So think about it. And Richard, you should be able to share your screen in case you want to.
Okay.
And it is 11:15, so to 11:25, I'll kind of give you a little 1-minute warning. How's that?
Okay.
Perfect. Take over.
Shall I go? Okay, right. So hi, yeah, my name's Richard. I run a little design agency here in Bournemouth on the south coast of England. But I'll give you a little bit of background on how I got into web design, because very few people, I would imagine, within this group here now started out, when they left school, so I'm going to be a web designer. We always come into it from different directions. You might have come into it from IT or maybe from graphic design. Well, my route into it was through photography. So in my sort of former career, of which I am still a little bit, I was a catalogue and advertising photographer. So doing kind of big name high street catalogues. In the UK, we have something called the Argos catalogue, which is very well known, and worked on a whole range of titles for sort of 10, 20 years. And I would imagine you're all old enough to remember shooting on film. Not a show of heads, yes? Remember shooting film?
Oh,
So
yeah.
this is 35mm film, which I'm sure you remember from your camera as well. We used to shoot on kind of bigger formats. So up to, show this, 10x8. So this, if the camera wants,
You can see it.
We
Yeah.
got it. Yeah.
so that's a bathroom shot. This is the piece of film that was in the camera. Okay,
Wow.
a Swiss camera called a Sinar. So we had a lot of fun back in those days. It was a very slow, laborious process, and every time you took a big shot, you had to get it processed, wait an hour, see if you'd ruined it or if you needed to do it again. So going digital was a breath of fresh air, and I love it. So I started designing websites probably in the late 90s. And of course, in those days, everything was hard coded. So I started off, I think I had a copy of, I feel dirty saying it, Front Page. And I built my own site at the weekends, and I was very pleased with myself, and then thought, oh my God, this is a bit limited. So, and then got Dreamweaver, and got a book and learnt that in a weekend as well, and then sort of went on from there and went through a variety of content management systems, Silver Stripe, a certain other one, which we shan't mention now. I think you know the one I mean. But and I try and avoid using that as much as possible, but it does crop up now and again. But I was introduced to Joomla, I think maybe 6 years ago, so I'm a relative newbie when it comes to Joomla, but I just really like the way it works and its approach, and it kind of works the way that I think. I do a lot of e-commerce as well, because I came from a catalog background. I was always interested in developing e-commerce sites, and there's a platform which I've used for maybe 10 years called OpenCart, and the structure is very, very similar. So I initially sort of was kind of drawn to it and very much liked it. So I'm going to show you some of my Joomla sites. So I'm going to share my screen, and fingers crossed it will work. Okay, can you all see that?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Just going to adjust that a little bit so it fits a bit better. Okay, so this is a site I built maybe 6 months ago for a company that manufactures hand dryers, and it's very pleased with it. So we've got a whole range of products. So it's information, tabs and videos and all kinds of stuff going on. But what I particularly like about this one is it's multilingual. So flip to German, and that's having attempted multilingual sites in the past with that other platform. I found it to be a complete ball ache. Doing one in Joomla was an absolute breath of fresh air, and because of where we are in the UK, we've got a lot of hotels. So I'm trying to encourage hotels to be more multilingual, because we want people to come on holiday here. So I really like that aspect of the fact that you can create stuff so easily and just flip So at the moment, I'm just adding Spanish to it. So we've had it translated by a native speaker, and then we've got an Italian one, which we're going to be rolling out soon as well, once that's been translated. So
Richard, may I just ask a question that comes up a lot for me? The question is, why build a multilingual site instead of using like a Google, allowing the browser to translate? I mean, I kind of know the answer to this, but I'm just wondering like how you talk to your clients about that.
Because you can always tell when something's been translated by a machine. It just doesn't read right.
Okay.
I'm sure you probably had emails from companies from overseas, and they've used the machine to translate it, and the words are right, not necessarily in the right order, and the grammar is weird. So Google has a good go at it, but it's not the same. And especially when you've got something technical, you got to make sure that the language is correct. So, I always use a translator. In the grand scheme of the cost of a website, it's not huge,
Yeah.
I mean, the Spanish translation for this site was £200. So that's $250. So, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely worthwhile. Okay, let's show you some other stuff. So this is my own site. So for my company Phoenix, it's quite zingy. A lot of websites, especially the kind of WordPress agency sites, they're all very very white, very minimal, and look a bit anemic. So I've tried to make mine go the other way and be quite sort of punchy, black and pink, and lots of sort of bright colors, just to differentiate it. So it's and we've got a lot of photography on here. So some of this other stuff that I do, food and drink. What do
you use for your galleries? Just curious. What's your favorite? Because you do photos, so it's important.
Sorry, for my galleries.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. I can't tell you. I can't remember. If you put a message in the comment thing, I'll let you know.
We did it.
OS Gallery rings a bell. OS Gallery? I think it's OS Gallery.
Okay.
So we've got portfolio section with probably 2/3 of these Joomla sites. But everything that now that I'm developing is nearly all Joomla.
On that site you built for the hand dryers,
Yeah.
On the product pages, did you use custom fields?
No, I used Page Builder, SP Page Builder.
All right.
So it just made it easy. So when I did the moved on to the different translation, I literally just copy and paste the export and import the page and just change the text.
Yeah.
So this is a company that imports very nice Italian office furniture. So once again, the pages vary a lot, so there's no uniformity. So I've used Page Builder because I like to kind of mix things up. So so each page is a little bit different. And then what else have we got? This is a single page scroller for a guy who writes wills, and his name is Will as well.
Appropriate.
Born for the job.
And what had you choose to do for a make it a one-page site?
What? Why?
Yeah.
Oh, because he asked me to.
Okay.
He specifically wanted it because he'd seen that and liked it and thought it was cool. So I said, why not?
Okay.
Okay, so oh right, this is something that I'm building at the moment. So this is a work in progress, and this is unbelievably complicated. So I'm working. Does anyone here? Do you know Manu? guy based in India. I met him in Spain a couple of years ago at the Joomla Future Conference. Really good freelancer. So he's working on all the technical stuff. So this is by far the most complicated site I've ever built. So it's for prescription veterinary products. There are existing sites which allow you get a prescription from your vet, you order your products, you upload the prescription. But we're automating it even further. So what this is doing, you have to register your animal, you register your vet, and it actually, when you order the product, it generates the prescription, which is then sent to your vet to digitally sign. And it's proving to be a challenge, but we're getting there. And the client was convinced that this is how everybody else would work. But when we were looking what other people were doing, nobody else had done anything that had taken it this far. So it will be pretty much unique in terms of the platform. So you have to have a named vet for every animal that you register. So if you order products for animals which are registered with 2 vets, it will generate 2 prescriptions which go to those 2 vets. So yeah, but Joomla is the platform to do it with. What else have you got? Oh yeah, this is one that I'm working with at the moment. This is a campsite quite close to me on Poole Harbour. So we've got the entire booking platform running through here.
And what are you using for the booking system?
What am I using? It is Solid Res.
Okay.
Solid Res. Okay.
Which, to be honest, has been absolutely perfect because we've had to make a lot of tweaks to make it work with a campsite. And we've also created an API so it links to another platform, so it pulls those bookings through so we don't get double booked. So because I'm a photographer, I like using photography as much as possible.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh yeah, this is fun. This is a company that's local to me. It is the International Association of Elvis Tribute Artists. Oh yeah. And there's a hell of a lot of them. I mean, really a lot. So they can register. They pay a subscription, and then they can post their profile. They can post all their upcoming gigs, and they can communicate with people who are interested. So we've got a ton of Elvis stuff here. We've got literally everything. It's just, if you like Elvis, this is the place to be. Okay, what else have we got?
I'm going to give you a 1-minute warning.
Okay, I think I'm Joomla'd out. I think that's everything that I'd set up to show you and discuss with you guys. So, as a designer, I like using page builders because I can allows me to kind of visualize the way that I see it. I have built stuff from scratch, but I can just bang stuff out really quickly. So call me lazy, but it works for me.
I know we had some good questions.
Anybody got
while you were
any
talking, but
questions?
it's beautiful.
Nice work, Richard.
Thank you. If you're going to come camping in the UK, this is the place to come.
They look clean and everything.
So we have places like we've got pictures of Corfe Castle.
Is the Elvis one for the Americans or for the English?
It's global. It's global.
It's global.
It's global. So there's a lot of ETAs or Elvis tribute artists in the UK. There's a few through Europe. There's quite a few in Australia. There's a lot in Malta for some reason, and of course, obviously in the USA. But it's a big thing. It's a big thing.
Oh,
so
yeah, I'm surprised.
What?
okay, there we are. That's me.
What directory did you use for that? Or the
I use JBusiness. It's from
Okay.
CMS Junkie.
Wonderful.
Yeah, but the pictures you have on your websites are beautiful. That's
Thank you.
the good thing, because I mean people like the visual, so it's the utmost important. How do you optimize your images? Do you?
I optimize them through Photoshop first, because I'm a photographer. I can, I know what I need to do to get them as small as possible and still keep them looking good and I prefer to do that before I upload them. I know what size it's going to be, so I can squidge them down. And also on my server, we can convert them to WebP as well, so just squeeze a little more juice out of them.
And do you convert them to WebP before you put them on your server, or do you have something running on the website to?
Our hosts, they kind of do it on the fly.
Okay.
So they've got.
What do you use for what options? Or sorry, what settings do you use in Photoshop for optimizing your images?
I use export for web.
Okay.
It's a really odd thing, because it's considered a legacy function.
I still use the legacy option.
But the thing is,
I
it's
use
still
that too.
better than the normal function.
It works way better because you can set all the choose from PNG to GIF to JPEG and set no, it's so much better. I don't know why it's legacy.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I've often, and that's probably the basis of my question, because I keep thinking like, am I doing this wrong? Because now it's like legacy.
That's the only one I use too. I was just doing
It's been legacy for like years, but it's still.
It's the better one, and you can't export SVGs using the quick export. You have to use the legacy export as well, I think. Or no, maybe that's export as, but either way.
Mm-hmm.
I've come to the conclusion years ago that the way they work out where things are going to go in a menu is they just like spin a bottle. Yeah, we'll put it there. And there have been occasions where they kind of moved it to one menu and then they moved it back to another menu between versions, just to keep you on your toes.
And this is a great segue, because Olivier is going to talk about SVGs. We asked about this last week, right? So we are going to have him take over the conversation till about 12 o'clock and talk about two topics, but he's going to start with the SVGs.
Yes, so I'm going to share my screen as well. Which one should I share? How should I'm going to share this? All right. Oh, it shifted everything over. All right. Do you see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So probably most of you know what SVGs are, but just to I'm going to do a quick refresher before I go to the meat of it. So the SVGs are the scalable vector graphics. They have been supported by browsers for years now. They are not quite as complex as can be a photograph, but they are more flexible. They can be altered manually because an SVG file is a text file. They can be compressed. They can be styled with CSS, animated with JavaScript. This familiar shape. This has been created. This is an SVG file that I put on my PowerPoint, but the content of the file is what you see at the bottom. It's just SVG tags and a few attributes, a title telling me what the image is of, and then a path that actually is the path of what you can get from a vectorial software, for example, to create shapes. So the advantages of SVG files over other image files, they are sharp. I mean, raster images do not resize very well. If you have a JPEG image, for example, if you scale it up, we start getting, fuzziness, or if you have PNGs as well. With SVG, you can resize it as much as you want. It will always look the same, always as sharp. Another advantage, its performance file size. Raster images use pixels to describe an image. In SVG, you use shapes, you use paths that result in smaller file size. And the more complex the SVG is going to be, the bigger the file. So you have to make sure there are ways of doing it, to make sure there are tools for that. You make sure that you have an SVG that's optimized, that so that when you have a very complex one, it doesn't take too much of space.
Olivier, can I ask a question? I always thought that vector only applied to non-photos, that photos were pixels, and therefore, so how is this different from, is this for photos or just for graphics?
It's mostly for graphics. You cannot, you can transform an image into an SVG file, but it's going to be a huge file because there's so much information on a picture.
So this is for graphics, not
so it's
photos.
mostly for graphics. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you in a second what you can do with.
And how is it different from a GIF?
GIF is the same thing. It's a raster image format, so it's pixelated. It's the same as other image types. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
No problem. So you can also style them. You can go on the browser, and then if you click on the SVG file, you will be able to style, if it has IDs or classes inside it, you can style them. So you can change the colors, you can change a few things with CSS. So you can animate them. This is, I don't know if it's transfer well here, but this is an SVG file with animations. So you can use third-party libraries, and you can use a software to animate your SVGs automatically, so that you don't have to go through writing code or anything. You just use software that's available.
That's cool.
Well, the SVGs are accessible. It's just a matter of putting the right attributes and roles into the files. You can use the role attribute to the area labeled by. The title and descriptions in a file can be used for accessibility. You can use all the rules that are available for accessibility in a SVG file. So if you use that as an icon that's just only there for decoration, just use the proper attributes for that also. And the nice thing is that pretty much every browser supports SVGs. As long as you don't go back to IE 6 or 8 to 8. I mean, there shouldn't be. I don't think there should be, and that should be an option to consider anymore. You shouldn't worry about your users and having to use IE 6 or 8. If they have not something better than that, that's too bad for them. I mean, you can't support everybody. So where can you use SVG? So SVGs you can use them directly as an image. You can, instead of having an image that PNG or JPEG, you just use an image that's SVG. That's an easy one. In CSS, you can put them in your background, for example. Well, the thing you have to know, if you use them as a background, you will not be able to style them. There is no styling of background images. You can use them as inline elements. I mean, that means they can have them directly into your code source of the page. You have different ways of doing that. You can just input your SVG content. It's the first few lines, or you can create symbols that you can reuse several times on the page, so that you can have an icon, for example, that's created as a symbol, and then reuse it over and over on your page without having to put the whole description of the file. So you use the attribute X link for that, and the use tag. I will give you a whole file. I mean, I'm going to give that to Robin so that she can put that on the website. I have a whole set of bookmarks I've created, for all these aspects of SVGs, even to give you the tools and stuff like that you can use to create your own SVGs and modify them and do it yourself. And you'll see it's very easy. You can also have SVGs in objects tags, and you can have them as URI attributes. I don't know if you know this much. This is a way of adding images as text. For example, in a web browser, you use the source attribute, and you started with data column image, and then you give the MIME type of the image, and then you have it as encoded text or plain text. In case of SVGs, you can have it. You can do the same with JPEGs, GIFs, and PNGs. You can have images just as text in your browser without being an image by using the data URIs. I don't know if I say it right, if that's the right data URI or data URIs. I'm not sure. Yeah,
Olivier, what would be the use? What would be the purpose of doing the going after the text file, like the data :image versus the image path that the file is located?
Well, it depends. It means there may be cases where you do some things on the fly, some things you create on the fly, and you want to input that into an image. I haven't that many use cases, to be frank, but it does exist. I mean, it's something you can do, and the advantage of doing that is that with SVG is that you can directly put the whole script of the file in it. That may have implications for, optimization of your web page. That could be a way of doing it. The thing is, there are security issues with SVGs, which I'm going to talk in a minute. So I'll explain a little more on that.
Okay.
What you see why it could be interesting to have it like that or not. So SVG is really ideal for a few things, for the graphs or the maps, logos, icons. If you have animations, if you have an animation of for example, of a graph that you have in a GIF, for example, you really benefit from using SVG instead, because then you can show it at any size on your website. When people extend the window of their browser, the graphic extends at the same time and keeps it looking the same, as sharp. So there are limitations. You cannot cache SVG. The SVG inline elements are not cached in the browser. So that's something to think about, because every time the user is loading your page, it's loading the SVG again. You may have to optimize and clean up your files to make sure that they stay, a relatively small size. Well, fallbacks with the old browsers, but I don't think you should consider it that consider that anymore. It's really not necessary anymore with all the advances in browsers we got and people moving on to new things. If you add text to your SVGs, which you can do, you have to be aware that there is no wrapping method in SVG. So if your text is long and people narrowed your text down, it's going to resize the text down instead of wrapping it and keeping it at the same size. So you have to be aware of that. So to avoid text in SVGs. And the biggest problem, I think, is the security aspect of it. How to enable SVG in Joomla? It's been an uphill battle because there are a lot of possible issues with security. The SVGs are XML files, and XML is something that's susceptible to attack patterns. You can have issues with cross scripting. It's a little bit technical, but just be aware that you have issues. There are links in your SVG files that could be making a reference to something else or some other code. You could have some entity doing some processing. You could have some JavaScript that's included in that file, and that there could be maybe something malicious. But browsers usually have already a mechanism to avoid a few of the problems. For example, in images, if you use the image tag, it already prevents the JavaScript to be running if there is some in your SVG file. If you use SVG fonts or CSS fonts, SVG, there also you have no problem, and all the browsers already block anything that could lead to potential attacks. But you have to be aware that if you use SVGs in embed their object tags, anything can happen. Everything is allowed in there. So if you have malicious code in there, it will run. And you also have to be aware, if you have an image on your site that's an SVG file with malicious code included, the browser will block it. But if the user saves the file, he will get all the bad stuff with it. So in order to avoid, you use your own SVG, the one you created yourselves through a tool, or you load the file, you upload the file from a trusted place, that the place you know that they don't provide any issues with SVGs. And make sure you understand a little bit what an SVG file is, so that when you can open it in a text editor, for example, you know what doesn't look right in your file. So it's pretty easy. I don't know. Let's see. Can you see the browser?
Yep.
Okay. Is there anybody interested in knowing how it works in Joomla 3? Because if nobody is interested, I can just do it on Joomla 4.
Yeah, Joomla 4 is fine with me.
Yeah. Is there anybody interested in Joomla 3? Because it's a little bit different.
Joomla 3 is so 5 minutes ago. Let's go with 4.
Let's go with Joomla. So let's do, so you go to the media manager, you go to the options. It's actually very simple. You may have seen videos from Brian Tinman or other places. You first add your SVG in your allowed extension. In Joomla 3, you are also allowing the uppercase SVG, but it's not no longer the case. you need to give SVG. Can you see? Can you all see?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to make sure you add SVG as a legal image type. And finally, you need to have it as a MIME tab as well. You type image / SVG plus XML, and there's another one that could be used because some files could be using that MIME type, which is application / SVG plus XML. So these are the two MIME tabs you can allow.
Could you copy and paste that into chat, please?
Oh,
Just that piece there for the legal MIME files.
Yeah, this is a little. Oh, except I don't have the chat anymore with my share.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh no, I'm trying. I'm going back to no.
Because
Oh,
I
come on.
I've put it in my allowed extensions and legal image extensions, but I never did anything with the legal MIME files.
Oh yeah, you have to. Okay, the chat. I got it. Okay.
And why do we have to have that in the
Because the media manager, when you use images, is gonna check if the MIME tab is allowed. That's telling him that the file is right. Because there are a few things the media manager checks. He checks if the extension of the file is correct. Is that something he knows? That PNG, that JPEG, that XML, that SVG, sorry. And then he also checks the content of the type of the text. He's going to check the MIME tab is something that's included in the file. It's included in your picture. It's included in your SVG.
okay.
I have a question for you, Olivier. By putting these in here, you still can restrict someone from uploading that type of image, right? Like if you have nowhere on your site where images are uploaded from, say, the front end, right? Because that's where the security can be. If someone uploads an SVG from, say, your contact form and it's got embedded malicious code in it, that's a security risk, right?
Yeah, the problem is that, yeah, by allowing SVG here, you allow the introduction of pictures anywhere on your website where you allow images.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I haven't done anything inside of here to allow SVGs, but I still use them because I upload them using my FTP and I know they're in my image file and I just write the image code to reference it. So is that like, it's a little bit harder, like you can't see it in my media manager, but I know it's there. And so I'm really just being extra cautious.
Yeah, I see what you mean, Robin, because I do the same thing. That's probably why I've never noticed that I couldn't do anything with the media manager because I don't use the media manager.
Because this sets it up to allow it, right?
Yeah, okay.
I guess even though I don't have any contact forms that say upload.
Yeah, I mean, if
images,
you do a
it'll make me
front-end
nervous.
editing, if you do front-end editing and you allow people to enter the intro image, you allow them to enter an SVG file as well.
You're really opening yourself up then in that
Yeah,
case.
it does. Now I don't know if you noticed, but in 4.2 you have extra permissions also. You can give permission to delete or edit files. So you can restrict access to the media manager from the front end if need be. Permissions didn't exist before. So once you have done with the media manager, then you can start drag and dropping SVG files. But you have to be aware that in Joomla 4.1 and 2, the restrictions, I mean, are much more strict than before. In 4.0, we were able to upload files that are that have less, how can I say, there were less restrictions at 4.0, and now there's a sanitizer that checks the files and make sure there's nothing that could be introducing issues. So
So is that with every upload, there's a sanitizer? Or is that something we turn on?
no, it's automatic. It's turned on
Okay.
automatically.
It'll
So
alert you?
so it may say, let's see, I have a file, I think it's gonna fail. It will tell you unable to upload file, and I actually am working on this issue right now with other people on GitHub to make sure we have a better message than just not being able to upload the file, because you have no idea why it's not going there. It's just because something in the file, like a tag or is not allowed. So there's a discussion, should we keep it like that, or should we use the sanitizer? Because the sanitizer also can give you a clean version of the file. Should we allow the cleaning and use that image to allow the image to get through the media manager, or should we keep it as it is, but with a better message saying that, okay, you cannot import this because there is this tag in the file that's preventing it to. So
This is a good segue to future versions of Joomla and
Yeah.
good suggestions.
So yeah, this is pretty much it from that point on. You can go to an article, and then you can just include the files directly going through. So sorry, that's another one. Through the media. Now you see there's no preview of the SVGs yet. I don't know if it's gonna be something that will be coming soon or not, but the preview is not available. But you can use it also when you select an image, an SVG, then you can see it in the article itself. So it's something that works, but there's no preview yet. So I hope that by 4.3 we're gonna have a little something a little more wordy for the user, so that they can understand what's going on with SVGs if they allow them. Why can't my files go through, or allow the files to go through but keep the sanitized version? That's an issue. So that's very important. We don't want to include things like that in Joomla that would allow spam, or would allow attacks to your website. So that's why it's been taking a long time to allow SVGs into Joomla, and most of the CMS don't do that. You have to go through installing plugins and things like that, where you are the one taking the responsibility of including things that are a little less secure. If you're interested, there are also things you can do in the editors, because you cannot include SVG in as an inline element in an article if you don't add a few things. Like, for example, in the tiny MCE editor, if you go to editors, tiny MCE, there are sections when you could say valid elements. Valid elements, you can say I want the SVG tag to be allowed on my article, in my article. So that's also another place you can provide what you want to do. Same thing with the JCE editor. You go to the JCE editor. Oh, it's not here. So I suppose a lot of you are using the JCE editor too.
Yeah.
Oh no, of course, yeah, I disabled it, so it's not going to show the same thing. You have an area where you can set what are the valid elements, and you can put your SVG tag in there, and then you can select also whatever tags is in your SVG is allowed. So you can say SVG path or all the attributes that you can pick any attributes or tag that you want to be included in your article. So if you don't put them, they will be clean. So if your users are using wrong tags, wrong attributes, it will be sanitized automatically by your editor. So there's no risk there. So what's coming for 4.3? We really want to make 4.3 more usable, more secure, faster, more accessible. So there are a few projects that are available right now, especially some students are working on the Google Summer of Code right now, and there are very interesting projects that are. If you don't know, if some people have been to the Jug and London Jug this week, there was a presentation of some SEO tools that were included in that project. This looks very promising, and so I hope we can have something that would be useful and testable, and on this version of 4.3. That would be great. We also want to make sure that the people who come to Joomla for the first time don't leave it because they find it too difficult to use. So there are projects for that also that try to tackle the issue. For example, we want also to make sure that we include all the PRs that are pretty much ready to go and that never been included because by the lack of time from the developers or because it needs people to do that. So or some discussion to stalled, and so we want to make sure that we get the little things out the door, like little details like that can help you in TinyMC and see little things that can help you in the media manager. We would love to see something like pagination for images in the media manager, because if you have a folder full of images and it's difficult to navigate without pagination. Or so there are things so that we will work on SEO, a guided tour. There's an accessibility plugin. There's a cookie manager also that was supposed to make it to 4.2 but didn't because it wasn't completed.
Olivia, they were talking about it in London at the they called it an open graph. Is that social media plugins?
Open graph was also included. It's in the SEO features. But yeah, it's part. I mean, I don't know if you didn't see it. What happens is that there would be a couple extra tabs in the article. For example, you would have a tag called SEO and a tag called Open Graph. And on the Open Graph, you would be able to enter images that you want to appear in a social media, for example, when you share an article.
Got it. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yep.
It could also be the intro text, intro image, that you want to show as your article image on social media, but you can select a new image, different. There in this SEO page, the tab there would be like the speed index.
That was great.
All the light speed index from Google, all the few tools like that would be very useful. I found that if they're going to put the video pretty soon, so I really encourage you to go and see that video because I loved it. To be honest, I didn't know it was that advanced. So and they're gonna need feedback because we want to make sure that people have all the basics covered. When have SEO tools for menu items, for example, because right now it's only on articles. Define what areas you should have those tools. These are still discussions. We want to keep having people involved. So the
So-
guided tour will be so great because we want to make sure that when someone tries a new feature, he knows what it's gonna do, and that would be very helpful too. Excuse me, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so I know you mentioned at our last meeting to start thinking about what you might want to see as enhancements in later versions of Joomla. And at Joomla Day USA on the last day, we kind of had open discussions. And one of the things we talked about, and I don't know that it ever got carried forward, and I'll throw it out to you since you're lead on this now. When you first install Joomla, you get those messages that come up. I don't know if anyone's seen them, and sometimes you read them, and sometimes they're like informational about updates and what have you. And we thought it would be nice to give someone the option who's installing a website, a Joomla installation, a clean installation, the option to learn about our community through a link to the community page, and maybe even entering their name and their email in case they want to get further updates about the community. Kind of a, you know what, we're Joomla, come find us. And I don't know if that went anywhere, but we do the community magazine right now, and there was some discussion if we had a list of people that if we had a list of emails that people agreed to add to a mailing list, maybe we would take the community magazine, which is just on a website, people have to go to that website to get, and push it out to an email list and make it a little bit more in your face. And so it's, I don't know, it's kind of one of those things where all the other CMSs are constantly saying, there's world this and world that, join our community. And we don't typically do that. And our community typically stays small because of that. So maybe bringing that up again, what would be worth discussing.
To engage people when they install Joomla.
Yeah, and it's not like every time you log in, it's going to do it again, but just like once to say, and those are the people that could help out, are the ones who are developing the website, not the business owner who owns the website, but the the people who are installing, building, implementing Joomla websites. There are so many of them that are not in any kind of Joomla circle here that we're missing out on. So that was just something.
I mean, the technology is there because we have
Yeah.
messages and all that stuff that are available already. So it's a matter of giving a few more options in there. Yeah.
So I just thought of that as something that we maybe for an enhancement going forward. Get them to discuss it again. I know it's scary, but
it's great. I mean, we want to keep the discussion open, and from everyone. Things that work for you, especially things that do not work for you, or things that should be, improved. I mean, we want to make sure that the interface is as easy to use as possible, and people find what they're looking for when creating a website. So that's something that we want to focus on.
Olivier, something along those lines, which might be interesting or could be a really bad idea, is that Joomla, people that make Joomla websites and integrate them often have really, really great ideas, but they have nowhere that they're connected to, if you're not involved in GitHub or something like that, to drop a suggestion. So, putting a link to say, have a great idea for Joomla, drop us a suggestion. I know that would be formidable because a lot of people could say stupid stuff, but you're going to get a gem every now and then, or a connection, and maybe get a volunteer who would be willing to monitor some of the suggestions and but using the back end of Joomla better for to get the mindset of the people that are working with it and get it to you, because the hurdle is if you're not using GitHub, you're not involved with the more senior level people. I've always been told, oh, if you have an issue, you have to go here, and then you get intimidated by the how high the bar is in order for you to be involved in those kinds of discussions.
Yeah, I understand.
It's
Yeah.
funny you say that, Joe, because my son just finished an internship this summer, and he said they really should teach a class at college. He's an engineer, on how to use GitHub. I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
it
no,
would be so
it is
valuable for
fantastic.
everything you develop if you're going to be a developer in the future. And I have 60+ websites that I manage, and I'm not a developer. I just build inside of this platform, and I'm not creating extensions or helping out with the coding that creates this platform. So I have no use for GitHub. So like you said, I am very afraid of GitHub, and I probably should put it on my list of things that I should try to learn better this year or something, but it probably isn't going to happen. So it would be great if I'm the one using and building Joomla websites. If I could put a suggestion box in there for an enhancement or something, wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yeah, there's also with GitHub is now getting into a political issue, because I believe GitHub is owned by Microsoft, and the project is actually not maybe Joomla itself, but the open source community is a bit wary right now about what the implications of putting all your code on GitHub is when Microsoft might have some personal plans for it that aren't a benefit to you.
Scary.
I just threw something out there that might be a little bit crazy, but that's some of the more recent discussion about GitHub.
Mhm. Well, so far so good, but it's true that it's a little risk. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But
Is
what
it true
I
that,
see. Sorry, go ahead.
no, is it true that Joomla's working on 5 now too? Joomla 5?
We are not working on the code base yet.
I thought I
It's,
read some
It's there's
on Facebook, some people were discussing that Joomla 5 is coming out like
it's just
a year?
planning the extension. The thing is that you cannot create a version and then stop there and then not think about the future. So you have to keep going forward. So there are plans for 4.3. There are plans for 5.0, but later down the road. So it's not like we have people already start thinking about it,
but much
doesn't
later
mean-
down the road.
There's
I
a
mean,
date
I don't want to
that
first
has,
just
there's been a date.
migrate to 4 and then find I have to migrate to 5 again.
Yeah, no, there's a conversation that somebody suggested that it was going to be 2023 and Joomla 5 was going to be right in your face, but that's all chat right now, and
Okay, good.
people are
It's getting nervous.
Just, no, it's making, people discuss about it. What should we put in it? Should we make sure that we don't break sites if we move on to 5.0, things like that? It's just a lot of things that are discussed right now, and it's important to have the discussion now, because you don't want to start coding and then start breaking stuff, and then in a year from now, then okay, move on to 5.0, forget about 4. And then you have to redo your website. That's not a good thing. So there are a lot of discussions about this. Make sure that we have a smooth transition. Keep going smoothly.
I had that same question.
The jump to
had
4 was a big jump.
Yeah, I had the same question, and I was reading that and thinking, there's so many extensions that aren't even ready for 4 yet, and I don't even know how I'm going to get to 4. And is it going to be the same kind of change? So sometimes I'll just throw this out, Joomla kind of struggles sometimes with that other one that, that kind of thing almost, even though I'm committed to Joomla, I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So there might, having some control of where those discussions happen, because yes, somebody has to be thinking ahead for sure to ever get there, but it was kind of frightening to read that.
Yeah, no, don't get frightened. These are all discussions, and then that's the good thing is that to get feedback from people. If you have wrong, if you feel like it's not gonna work for you, you have to let people know when you hear about it. If you find an article on the community page, for example, you can comment on it. Don't hesitate to give your opinion, give your feedback. Make sure that the people who make those decisions have, a good understanding of what's going on. So
And every time you're moving forward to a newer Joomla, I feel like more and more things, like these are the questions Olivier is asking, what should be brought into the core of Joomla? I'm working with a client right now that has articles in K2, and K2 hasn't said yes or no that it's going to Joomla 4. And the reason why, I believe, is because Joomla 3.10 can do everything that K2 is designed to do, and Joomla 4 can do it as well. So it's when you start to think about extensions that are no longer supported, think about whether or not it can be done, the same thing can be done inside of core, because the more things you have inside of core are not going to be hurdles you're going to have to go through to get from one version to the next.
As long as migrating from K2 to core isn't a big hassle.
Yeah,
All your articles are in K2, you need to transfer them somehow to core.
yeah,
And
I did see a bunch of a couple different ways of doing that, but in the end we decided that if we were going to move from K2 to core, that we were going to use that opportunity to clean up the SEO on those articles, and we brought them we're bringing them over by hand. And there's disadvantages of K2 that we're taking advantage of in core that it didn't have before. So we're cleaning up the URLs, we're doing redirects. But it's like anytime that you are forced to go from one version to the next, you kind of have to go back to that client and say, this is what it's going to cost. And while we're doing it, we're going to improve the look and feel of it. We're going to improve the SEO. We're going to delete a lot of old stuff that don't matter anymore. So that's just one case study. But as you're thinking about extensions, oh no, my extensions aren't going to be supported anymore. There might be a reason why, and you have to be very selective when you choose your extensions. You really got to pick the ones where these people are heavily involved and invested in the Joomla community, because you don't want it to be a one-off and then you've depended on it and they're no longer in the picture. So as much as you can do in core, the better, and have your extension list that you choose from be a very small group of extensions, in my opinion.
And we do have closer releases these days, because we want to make sure that Joomla sticks to how the technology advances. With Joomla 3, we kind of stayed with Bootstrap 2 for a long time, while the web was moving on to something else. So that's one of the things we want to try to avoid, is when we go to one version to the next, we don't want to have a huge jump which breaks everything. We want to make sure we have small steps that will allow people to move on this easy way.
This is a really great discussion, and if you have any feedback that you think of later on after this meeting, messaging or sending an email to Olivier.
I can forward
what he's
everything
asking for. So
yeah, I can forward to the right people, and I can, I cannot make promises on things, but I can certainly relate the message, and so that your voice can be heard. Yeah.
So Olivier is actually going to be, he's a member of this group. But he's also going to be visiting a lot of the different groups and having the same discussion about 4.3 to all of the users he can reach and try to get them to give him feedback of what people want and what people are looking for in a future version of Joomla. So
yeah, and then especially if you have when you see the first versions to test out, don't hesitate. Make a copy of your website, install a new version, and see what happens. And make sure that your website still runs smoothly. You can do that on a few test sites to see. You can test the new features also like that, and then make sure that everything works the way you want.
You know, this begs a question about best practices. And so you mentioned something about, you know, install the site and do this and do that. If you're not charging properly for the services that you provide, you will find those kinds of things onerous to do because you're doing them for free. So this is the thing that you have to be careful about is the best practices are best practices for a reason. And if your clientele is not appreciating that you're providing those kinds of, you know, level of service, you need better clients. And that's, I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, it should be part of your maintenance plan. I mean, when you maintain a website, making sure that when you update Joomla, it also goes smooth for the website you work on. So for your client, so that should be included in your level of service. Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not just Joomla that changes the
No,
server
it's-
side. Yeah, the server
Yeah,
side
well,
resources. So how many
there's-
versions of
The
PHP?
service provider that go up in PHP version, the database, the third-party developers. I mean, all that included. It's a lot of things to make sure keep running smoothly.
oh, another great reason to have this group where we have all the people in here that have clients and we build websites for them. It's a unique user case for Joomla. And so that was a wonderful discussion. Olivier, thank you so much for bringing those two
You're
topics.
welcome.
And so what do I have next is picking a date for September's meeting. We've been going, I think, with the third Thursday, which brings us to the 15th and the 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time seems to be working, except for Mike, who rolled out of bed a little late this morning. But he still jumped in. Hi, Mike. He's a trooper. So if no one has any objections, we can go with the 15th for next week, the next month's meeting. So now that everyone has seen Richard give a spotlight, who would like to be a member spotlight for next month and do such a wonderful job? I know Lisa's done it already. I've done it. Anyone else? I don't want to.
Seeing how everybody's jumping into the pick me, I'll do the next one.
Thank you, Joe. Wonderful.
And I can do the one after that, maybe.
I love it. So we've got September and October. Excellent. I'll have to make sure that I got your email, Paul.
Okay.
Have you found our Facebook page?
Yeah.
Okay. That's where we post an event, and that's where I have a sign-up sheet to share your email with me, and I'll send you an email also
Okay.
in
I
addition to
just
that
dropped it in the
Facebook.
chat.
Okay, thank you. So Paul,
Why the name Free Cats?
yeah, why
Yeah, at the time I started this particular business, I had 3 cats, and I was looking for a kind of a cute, clever name that would get attention.
that
And
does it.
my wife said, "How about 3 Cats Marketing?" I said, "Okay." We've lost 2 of the original cats. We've gotten a new cat, but we're keeping the name, and eventually we're going to get a 3rd cat, I'm sure.
Nice.
That's great.
So this is also open discussion time. I know we've been trying to get the migration topic covered. And I think we'll have an easier time getting that in September and October. So we will continue trying to get that covered. And I know Yothine was also, we were thinking maybe Elisa could do something for us personally, but like Ellen, you can still go and look at her presentation on JDay USA. Any other topics that you guys are interested in? This doesn't have to all be about Joomla as well. It could be about time management. It could be about
Clientele.
clients, contracts, how to do a maintenance plan. It can, if someone's willing to talk about it, or you know someone who's an expert on it, I wouldn't mind reaching out and asking them.
There
I would
was a
be
topic.
interested. I would be interested in a discussion on like business tools, because I'm always kind of reevaluating like your billing software, your CRM, you know, your emailing software, time tracking, etc. You know, I'm always looking to see if there's something better out there. So I would love a discussion on that. I feel like that would be more of a maybe collaborative discussion than a
Oh yeah, like we could all share if we,
right.
if
Yeah.
what we use.
Right, and maybe talk a little bit about it and whether or not what you like and what you hate about it, maybe like 3 things you love and 3 things you hate or something. And because that would be helpful, I think, for everybody to hear what, you know, how our software stack is working for us and what our pain points are. And maybe, you know, someone's using software that's like, oh, well, mine does that really well, or, you know, or I'm interested in that feature that you love about your software. So I just feel like that would be a great resource sharing because we're all kind of working in the same arena. So-
Another topic would be how you do collaborations, because I put together teams all the time on projects, and what's the best way to track everything in there. And
Yeah.
I always, you know, I'd be curious to see what other people do for that, like the writer, the designer, and how to interact and keep the client up to date. That's always could be a huge time saver if we got it right.
Yeah.
Another thing I've noticed that everybody, well, that some of the things I've learned are extensions I wasn't aware of.
Mhm.
And every website that comes up, people are saying, what did you use for that? What did you? So maybe our favorite extensions that aren't the typical Akiba and those kind of things.
JCE and yeah.
Yeah.
And have
that-
everyone bring an idea of what their favorite extension is and give it a short 5-minute on it instead of a speaker. I like that.
Yeah.
If you are willing to prepare a little bit for a meeting, I will definitely do that. And it doesn't even matter if you prepare. People can come up with it on the fly as someone else is talking to it. It won't take that long. And that's great. I like these ideas. And I always leave this meeting thinking I'm gonna go ahead and reach out to this person and they're gonna be our speaker next month. And then it's never what it is. So I improvise and we get a great presentation anyway. So I hope you all are okay with me being flexible and just sending, you know, the topic is always a mystery to you until I send out the next meeting notice, and I hope that's okay. And I am taking your suggestions and working out a good presentation based on.
I think this group has been one of the most valuable, even though I drop in on a lot of them. I think it's going very well. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I've popped into different groups too, and I think they all have their value in different ways. But there are definitely meetings. I go to London, and it's so far over my head. Their discussions are so important, but I'm not. I don't know what that code. I don't even know half the lingo sometimes they talk about, and I'm so grateful that they are the people behind Joomla. But I don't always know what they're talking about. But I feel like this group is very focused to people who are building websites for clients, and that to me brings us all on a common level of understanding. So that in itself means that it's more valuable for us to spend an hour and a half here. So keep telling your friends. Thank you, Karen, for coming, and thank you, Joe, for inviting you. I did want to say that we were on the community page as an event this month because Laura told me to do it, and I'm glad I did that because Paul showed up. definitely get on and like the Facebook page, because that's where I'll communicate, and I don't over communicate. I probably 2 posts a month just to let you know about this. And I have seen other activity, people are on there talking, so use it as a forum if you'd like to. And then I usually just send the 1 email reminder of the meeting. And Facebook will send the reminder. There's one dog marketing over there. And we are coming up exactly on the 1.5 hours. Thank you so much for everyone coming, and any final remarks from anyone? Mike never
Yeah.
he can say hello.
You had one.
Final remark.
Big thank you to everyone. Good presentations.
Sorry, I was late.
Nice to meet new people like you, Richard. Thanks for the presentation.
Thanks, everybody.
See you all next month.
See y'all next month.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.